Welcome back. Butler Middle School toolbox layout. If you've gotten to this video, that means that you have your bottom bent up and you're ready to do your top and your ends. This is the sheet that we used for laying out our bottom side. If you flip it over, this is where we find all of our dimensions for the top and the two ends. I'm going to set that to the side so we can reference that. I also have my marker and my ruler. We want the green side of our toolbox color to be out, so I'm going to take and flip this over, and we're going to mark on the white side, or the cream side. Starting at the bottom of the toolbox, once again I'm going to start with my ruler. 0 is on the bottom edge of my toolbox. This, if you're referencing your drawing, this bottom edge of right here is line number 4 on the drawing sheet. I'm going to measure up a 1/2 inch, which is 8 lines past 0. Slide my ruler to the middle. I'm going to measure up a 1/2 inch. 0 is on the bottom edge of my metal. Measure up a 1/2 inch, which is 8 lines past 0. Slide my ruler all the way over to the right hand side of my metal. 0 is on the bottom edge. I'm going to take and I'm going to mark 1/2 inch. 8 lines past 0. Just notice again how the V points towards my 1/2 inch mark. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to take and I'm going to have it go through the center of my V's. This is going to be a fold mark, so I'm going to take and make this with a dashed line. Then I'm going to slide my ruler to my middle V, center of my middle V, to the center of my V that's on the right hand side. This is going to go across with a dashed line. Notice I have my line go all the way from the right hand side all the way to the left hand side of my toolbox. This is going to be line 5 if you're referencing that drawing. Next, moving on, I'm going to take my 0. My 0 is going to be on line 5. I'm going to measure up 1 1/2 inches. 1 1/2 inches is 8 lines past the 1. I'm going to do that on the left hand side of my toolbox. 1 1/2 inches, 8 lines past the 1, 1 1/2 inches. Slide my ruler all the way over to the right hand side. I'm going to measure up 1 1/2 inches. I have my 3 V's. I'm going to use my ruler as a straight edge. I'm going to connect my middle V to the V that's on my left hand side. This is going to be another fold mark. I'm going to take and make this a dashed line. Remember, dashed lines represent folds, solid lines represent cuts. You never want to have a solid line where a dashed line is supposed to be, because once we make a cut, we can't put this back on. Dashed line going all the way across. Make sure it goes from the right hand side all the way across to the left hand side. If you're referencing your drawing, this is line 6. Next, I'm going to start with my 0 on line 6. My ruler is going up and away from me. My next measurement is going to be 3 inches, so I'm going to mark 3 inches. My V is pointing towards the 3 inch mark. I'm going to do that on the left. 0 is on line 6. 0 is on line 6. I'm going to measure up 3 inches. Place a V with the V pointing towards the 3-inch mark. Slide my ruler all the way over to the right hand side. 0 is on line 6. I'm going to measure up 3 inches. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to take and connect my V on the left hand side to my V on the right hand side with a dashed line. Then I'm going to slide my ruler over, line the center of my V up in the middle, the center of the V on the right hand side, and make this dashed line go all the way across from the right hand side to the left hand side. Next, I'm going to slide my metal down a little bit. This line that we just got done drawing is line 7, so that we can reference our drawing. From line 7, we are going to take and we are going to measure up. 0 is on line 7. I'm going to measure up, ruler's going up and away from me. 1 3/8 of an inch. 1 3/8 of an inch is 6 lines past 0. I'm going to place a V at 6 lines past 0, 1 3/8 of an inch. Slide my ruler somewhere towards the middle of your metal. 0 is still on line 7. I'm going to measure up 1 3/8 of an inch, which is 6 lines past 0. 6 lines past 1. Slide my ruler all the way over to the right hand side. I'm going to measure up 1 3/8 of an inch, which is 6 lines past 1. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to take and mark my next fold, center of my V on the left, center of my V in the middle. Now this last one that we're doing is not a fold mark. It does not get to be a dashed line. It is a solid line. So this is a solid line that we're drawing across. Remember, dashed lines mean folds, solid lines mean cut. So this is going to get cut at the squaring shear. Make sure that line goes all the way across from the right hand side to the left hand side. Next, we're going to need our tab lines going up the left hand side and the right hand side of our toolbox. And in order to do that, starting on the left hand side, I'm going to have my 0 on the left hand edge of my metal. The ruler edge is going along the bottom of my metal piece. Now I want this top hem to go on the outside of my toolbox, so this hem line needs to be, this tab line needs to be a little bit skinnier than our bottom. Our bottom we had at a 1/2 inch. This one we're going to make at 7/16 of an inch. So if you reference your drawing, 7/16 of an inch for the tab line. Right here is where that's illustrated, 7/16 of an inch. 7/16 of an inch is 7 lines past 0. I'm going to mark that on the bottom of my metal. I'm going to mark that somewhere towards the middle of my metal, 7/16 of an inch. And I have my V pointing towards the ruler. And I'm going to go up to my cut line. Ooh, my cut line is line 8. And this is going to be 7/16 of an inch. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect my top V, my center V, and my bottom V all together. Since this is a tab line, I'm going to take and make it a dashed line. Dashed lines mean fold, solid lines mean cut. Going over to the right hand side of my toolbox, I'm going to work with my toolbox upside down. My ruler upside down. 0 is on the right hand edge of my toolbox. I'm going to measure in 7/16 of an inch, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines past 0. Somewhere towards the middle of my toolbox. 0 is on the right hand side. I'm going to measure across 7/16 of an inch. My V is pointing towards the 7/16 mark. Slide my ruler down towards the bottom. 0 is on the right hand side. I'm going to measure across 7/16 of an inch. Using my ruler as a straight edge. I'm going to line up the V on the right hand side, at the top, the middle, the bottom, and this is going to be a dash line. Now, we have our tab lines drawn, we have our fold lines drawn. The next we need to do is cut our triangles out on the right side and cut our triangles out on the left side. So let's start on those. Starting on the left hand side of my toolbox, my 0 is on the left hand side. I'm going to measure in 7/8 of an inch. See how that shows me on my drawing right here, 7/8 of an inch. 7/8 of an inch is 14 lines past 0. I'm going to turn my ruler straight up and away from me. Now I could have my ruler this way if I wanted to, or moving my metal up a little bit. I can mark my 1, or let my 1 rest on the bottom edge of my metal, and I can mark at 0. Both ways are an inch. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect the center of the V on the side to the center of the V on the bottom. Notice how my angle line cuts right through the intersection between my tab line and my fold line. This is going to get cut off, so it's drawn with a solid line, and I'm going to shade this in to make sure we remember this is a cut and gets removed. Moving on to the right hand side of my toolbox. Whatever we do to the left, we have to do to the right. Here I'm going to mark a little differently. I'm going to start with 7/8 of an inch, which is 14 lines past 0. I'm going to start with that on the edge of my metal, and I'm going to come across and I'm going to mark 0. See if I flip my ruler around. 0 is on the right hand side, and my point of my V is at 7/8 of an inch. Swinging my ruler straight up and down. 0 is on the bottom edge of the metal. I'm going to measure up 1 inch. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect the center of my V on the right to the center of my V on the bottom. This is going to be done with a solid line to show that it's getting cut off. This is going to get shaded in to make sure that we know that this gets removed. Now we're going to start on the tab lines on the right hand side. These are going to be our relief cuts so that when we fold our toolbox it doesn't kink on us. Remember we talked about the easy way and the hard way to do this? I'm going to start on line 6. I have my 1/2 inch mark on line 6. I am going to take and mark a V at 1. I'm going to mark a V at 0. I'm going to take my ruler, flip it over. I'm going to make my V that's on the top intersect with my tab and my fold mark. This is going to be a solid line. I'm going to do the same thing, connect my bottom one. This is going to get shaded in to show that it gets removed and cut out. I also need a hole punched here. I'm going to draw a circle there to illustrate that I need a hole punched here for relief when I bend. Then I'm going to take and I move to line 7. Line 7, I'm going to put my 1/2 inch mark on line 7. I'm going to mark 1 inch, and I am going to mark 0. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect my top V to my intersect line between the tab line and line 7. This is going to be a solid line. It's going to be cut and removed. To show that that's also going to be cut and removed, I'm going to shade this in. And on this line, I also need a relief hole punched. I'm going to mark that with a circle. One last one up here on the top on the right hand side. I'll slide my metal down a little bit. I'm going to place my 1/2 inch mark on line 8. I'm going to measure down and mark 0. Then I'm going to connect my line 8 intersect with the tab to the V that I just drew. Draw that across. This is going to get shaded in to make sure that we know that this gets removed. Now moving on to the left hand side. I'm going to have my 1/2 inch mark on line 6. I'm going to mark 0 with a V. I'm going to mark 1 with a V. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect my top V to my tab and line 6 intersecting lines right here. I'm going to connect my bottom V to that same point. I'm going to shade this in, show that it gets removed. Moving on to line 7. Moving on to line 7, I'm going to take my 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to put it on line 7. I'm going to then mark 1/2 inch at 0. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch at 1. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect my top V to my line 7 and tab intersecting line. This is going to be a solid line to show that it gets cut off and removed. I'm also going to use my ruler to connect the tab line to my bottom V. I'm going to shade this in. Show that it gets removed. I have my last one that I have to match up on this side, put it on the left hand side. So let's try that. 0 is on the left hand side of the page, or left hand side of the metal. I'm on line 8 is where my 0 is. I'm going to measure down 1/2 inch, 8 lines past 0. I'm going to use my ruler as a straight edge, connect this V to the top where the tab line and line 8 intersect. After I have that line drawn, I'm going to shade that in to make sure we know that it gets removed. A couple labels we're going to put on here. This is tab. This one here is tab. We should have 6 going around. On the right hand side, the same ones are labeled tab. And right here in the middle between line 6 and 7, I'm going to write top. And then you also are going to put your student number and stamp it into the metal here. The top's laid out, now we need to move on to the ends. So I'm starting on line 8, but I'm going to begin on the left-hand side of the metal. Starting on the left-hand side of the metal, line 8's going across as my solid line. I'm going to turn my ruler so it goes up and away from me. I'm going to put 0 on line 8. Ruler's going up and away from me. And I want to measure up 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches, 8 lines past 0. I'm going to put a V. Slide your ruler over to the middle of your metal. Measure up 4.5 inches. Place a V. Slide your ruler all the way to the right hand side of your metal. Measure up 4.5 inches. Put a V. Take your ruler, use it as a straight edge. And I am going to connect the center of my V on the left, the center of my V on the right. Now this is going to be a cut mark. So this cut mark, I need it to be a solid line going straight across. And then I'm going to line it up again so that the center of my V in the middle and the center of my V on the right hand side connect with a straight line. This would be line 9. Next, I want to mark the width of my end pieces. So I have the edge of my ruler going along line 8. My 0 is on the left-hand side of the metal. I'm going to come across and I'm going to measure 5 inches. The way that I get 5 inches, if you look at your sheet, I have 3 inches in the middle, 1 inch that starts my angle cut, 1 inch that starts my angle cut, and 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So I'm going to come across 5 inches, and I'm going to put a V on line 8, pushing my ruler to the top, to line 9. 0 is on the left-hand side. I'm going to measure across 5 inches. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to take and connect my two V's together. These are going to get cut, so this is going to be a solid line. Now I need my corners cut off here so that I can take and have the lid close. So using my ruler again, 0 is on the left-hand side. My ruler edge is going along line 9. I'm going to mark 1 inch. I'm going to turn my ruler. 0 is on line 9. I'm going to have my ruler go down the left-hand edge of my metal. I'm going to mark 1 inch. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to take and I am going to connect the two V's together. This is going to be a solid line because that's going to get cut off. Shade that in so I know that it gets removed. You need to do the same thing to this side. Using my ruler as a straight edge. Sorry. Having your ruler come down towards you, I have 0 on line 9. I'm going to measure down this side of my end piece. I'm going to mark 1 inch. Have my ruler upside down. 0 is on this line that I had going vertically. I'm going to measure across on line 9, 1 inch. Using your ruler as a straight edge, you're going to take and connect them together. I'm going to shade this in to show that this gets removed and cut off. This is your end. you're going to stamp your number on the end as well. We're going to do the same thing over here on the right hand side. To get your other end, we need two ends for your toolbox. I'm going to start with my ruler upside down. I'm on line number 9. 0 is on the right hand side of my metal. I'm going to measure across 5 inches and put a V. Come down to line 8. 0 is on the right hand side of my metal. I'm going to measure across on line 8, 5 inches. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to connect the center of my V's together. Since this is a cut mark, it's going to be a solid line. Next, I'm going to take and I'm going to measure down. I need my 1-inch corners that I did on the other side. 0 is on line 9. I'm going to measure down 1 inch. Next, I'm going to turn my ruler. I have 0 on that second vertical line that I drew here, a solid one. My ruler edge is going along line number 9. I'm going to measure across 1 inch and put a V. Taking my ruler, using it as a straight edge, I'm going to connect my two V's together. I'm going to shade this in to show that it gets removed. Now I need to take this triangle and put it on the other side as well. Starting with my ruler upside down, I have my 0 on the right hand side of my metal. I'm going to measure across 1 inch, put a V at the 1 inch mark. I'm going to turn my ruler. I'm going to start with my 1 inch mark. Start with my 1 inch mark on line number 9. I'm going to measure down and mark 0. Using my ruler as a straight edge, I'm going to take and connect my two V's together. I'm going to shade this in to show that this gets removed and cut off. I'm also going to label that this is an end. And I'm going to stamp my student number. This piece up here at the top, this is extra. Okay, that can get thrown in a scrap bin. This piece here in the middle is extra. This piece you're going to give to Mr. Lammers in case we have problems with our ends. This will be big enough for us to make another end. I hope you enjoyed. Good luck on your top and ends and putting your toolbox together.